All right, so I asked a whole bunch of people what they would do with their time if they had $100 million in their bank account today. And the answers fascinated me. Well, people told a whole bunch of things, starting from quitting their jobs to not quitting the jobs, to writing, to creating books, funding films, starting startups, and a whole bunch of different things. But over a period of time, I realized that most of these conversations that they were talking about was just permissions for them to live the life that they want. And it was really not about the money or the luxury that they had. I am Priya. If you don't know me, I am the founder of the Out of Office podcast, where we talk about strategies, mindset, spirituality, and a lot of other things that help you become a top 1% entrepreneur. So before I get into the results, there is a little bit of a backstory. This entire experiment was a result of spiritual inception. It was about, 7 a.m. in the morning, a couple of weeks ago, when I was just waking up. So my mind was probably in between the delta waves and the theta waves. And I was hearing a certain voice. And the voice told me, and it actually asked me a question. And the question went something like this: Priya, if you knew that you were completely taken care of at any given point in time, what would you do in your life? And while this question was going on in my head, I had this really strong imagery of me simply just falling into this really gigantic, enormous cushion. Me falling and being protected and carried in this huge cushion. Right? And cushion is probably the best I can describe it, but it was soft, it was plushy, it was warm, and I don't know what it was, but that was the imagery that came into my head. And there was an overwhelming feeling of love that came to me during that little dream, as you say, you may have. After I woke up, I tried to make sense of it. And I tried to make sense of it in a way as to how could I describe that feeling. And if there was a certain number that I could put to it, what would that be? A number that could help me describe the feeling of safety that I got in that gigantic cushion. And I started thinking about something huge, something unimaginable, because the feeling was like that. The feeling was not like anything else. And as I was thinking about what number to put, I started with, 1 million first, and I thought that was highly achievable because many people around me have done it. Then I went on to 10 billion, not enough, 50, 60, and I kept climbing, and then I reached 100 million. And I felt 100 million was big enough to sort of explain to some extent the size of the cushion that I felt. And that was a starting point. And that would probably be the minimal number that would help me feel that level of safety. So after I woke up, I said, yeah, what if I had $100 million and the safety of $100 million in my bank account? What would I do on a day-to-day basis? What would I spend my time on? And I honestly had no answer to that question. I kept pondering about it during the day. And by the time lunch came, I thought, hey, maybe I should just, ask this question to everyone. And then I started collating all of these answers. Roughly, I would put all the answers that everybody gave me into 4 different buckets. And it helped me understand very unique human behavior. It helped me understand that a certain level of human societal conditioning that we have, which we often don't realize when we're inside it. But when you get asked such a question, you start thinking more. Then the gap, there's a massive gap between desire that we have and the money we think that we need. So this was something that came out really strong. And then finally, I just realized that most of us, in order to be who we are and do what we want to do, we don't really need $100 million in our bank account. In fact, people are simply looking for the permission to do better, permission to live a life of their choice, live a life of freedom. I asked this question to about 20 plus people, ranging from age groups of 20s, 18, 19, 20s, all the way to 50s and 60s. And I can roughly break them down into 4 different buckets. So let's go into these buckets. First, everybody spoke about safety. The first thing in their head was not, I'm going to buy a luxury vehicle, I'm going to buy a luxury house, I'm going to buy a private jet. No, nobody cared about these. Most of them just said that they were going to use this money and put them into safe assets. And many of them spoke about buying a house for them, their family, helping their families retire so that they didn't have to work anymore. Then I think there were people who said that they would put the money into investment instruments that were very safe and that would give them a lot of yields over a period of time. And essentially, everyone chose safety. So this was beautiful that the first instinct was not luxury, but that the first instinct was choosing safety and protection. And the second thing that people wanted to do was they wanted to have their time back. So they were thinking about, quitting jobs. They were thinking about buying a house somewhere in a distance. I think one of them, they told me that they wanted to buy a house in New Zealand. Back in India, there were people who wanted to just buy a house in the Himalayas, in the mountains, and stay away from city life, and be in their own shell and do what they wanted to do. Take a rest, take a step back from everything that is going on. So I think people wanted their time back. People just wanted to rest. People wanted to relax and figure out what they wanted to do. They wanted to no more be in the grind of things. Then third, and I think this was most profound, I felt that people wanted to be able to express in whatever way they want. I have friends who told me that they wanted to start writing a book. They wanted to write a fiction story and they wanted to write a book as a result. There were people, my friends, who said that they wanted to also design and make new dresses and clothes for people and while keeping their jobs. So, there were that. Then there were people who wanted to go out and teach underprivileged kids in different parts of the world, go and educate them, teach them, and actually contribute to the society that way. There were people who wanted to fund films and tell better stories, have more cash to do that. People who wanted to obviously startups, people wanted to start businesses. And all of this just gave me the sense that people just wanted do something, put a bit of themselves into this world out there. And that was so beautiful, so profound. In fact, content creation was one of the topmost things that they wanted to do as well. There were people who wanted to write content about spirituality and they wanted to create such videos about spirituality. There were people who wanted to do the same content, but from the perspective of design and art and such brilliant ideas, I say. And I feel like all of that, whatever they put their heart to, would actually do really well. But some people, it's not like everybody said that they would quit their job. Some people actually said that they would continue to do what they were doing today. They would continue to do this job that they were doing today. Maybe not to the level of that they are doing. They would probably scale it back. They would probably do a couple of hours only instead of doing 40 hours, 50 hours, 60 hours. They would probably scale it back because they truly love what they're doing, but they didn't want to fill up all their time in life with that. They wanted to have time for other things as well. And I love it that these category of people, they loved what they did. They truly found joy in their work, and they're not necessarily doing the work purely to pay their bills or fund themselves. And all of this made me think that we have been societally conditioned to think that work is only for survival, that work is to earn money. But instead, I believe work can also be to express and do things that you feel passionate about and still earn money. You could create a company that completely has a whole new take on mobile phones, for example, if that's what you're passionate about. Well, so basically, once survival was handled, creativity came back. So the deeper lesson actually here is that we are conditioned to believe only about survival. But I don't think that's the full truth. Yes, work can definitely be survival, but it can also be identity. It can also be expression. It can also be service. It can also be status. It can also be belonging. It can be avoidance. It can be escaping. It can be love. It can be so many things, and work can be so many things. And today, you can earn money from doing all of these things. The dangerous part is, of course, when we confuse all of this thing with just money. So the 100 million question taught me that most of us do not actually need 100 million to do and to live the life that they want to do. Yes, we need more safety. We need more savings, more stability, just more breathing room. But often what we're really waiting for is this permission to do it. So maybe the better question is not, what would you do if you had $100 million in your account? Rather, the better question would be, what part of that life can you start living now? Even in a small, because maybe your dream life and my dream life and everyone's dream life is not that far away as much as the number makes us seem. Maybe the first version of it is already available to you right now in how you spend, that hour in that weekend or that hour after work. So maybe the real work is not to become that version after you've made a lot of money, but instead the real work is to stop abandoning the version of you that you already are. I hope this video has been great. Tell us what you would do and do that. Take that effort to build that kind of life. See you soon and keep watching the Art of Focus podcast. Bye bye.